sister my dresser when she moved, so I just settled for this. Good morning. I'm gonna have me a pipe and some coffee and some chat. So, and hopefully a nice peaceful morning. And a true good morning. Well, I meant it the other time. Wanted to start by saying I kind of was inspired to make this video from the last couple of days, hearing police sirens, ambulances, and then more police sirens. I'm kind of wondering on the chaos of the world and the division, the hatred, the kind of wild stuff going on there. So, and the suffering too. So, let me start my coffee. Still pretty hot. And like I said, also wanted to have a pipe and some coffee while I'm chatting with you. So, by the way, to start with, my name is Bill, and I just wanted to kind of share with you, maybe relate to people how you can probably endure and overcome, learn to forgive, and the importance of all that. Not to be whiny or overly preachy, but just want to share. Maybe I can relate to somebody, maybe help them. Like, took me forever, but I got help in my life. So, I'll just start. I had, I think, 5 stepdads, 2 stepmoms. One of them, stepmom-wise, well, and other ones, I don't think she liked us very well. It was kind of mean, and I don't want to go into details of that. But then there was alcohol around here, and all these things, abuses. And you can probably use your imagination, put them ones together. So, all my surroundings and influence and observations, I took out onto the world with me. So, thank the Lord that I actually had very good friends. Oh, we were close, shared a lot of time together, kind of the same grief. Some of them came out of physical abuse, sexual abuse, just things of that nature. So we kind of had a lot of things in common, and shared a lot of time together and fun times together. And we trusted each other and loved each other. But even so, as you get older, you catch yourself getting caught up in things you shouldn't, because you're taken out into the world, all that's been around you. And of course, you have this not too much of respect for authority. So there's this angst in you. You got these things going. So the older you get, the more it catches up with you. The drinking, the carousing. You know, a lot of it was fun because you had bars, and of course you had fights and concerts, cruising around, fishing. We just started relating all these things. And then it got to be more or less a repeat of your parents. And broken relationships, especially if you drink, you know, you get, I don't know, uninhibited, bold, and dark stuff. Even so, go through all these things, and eventually just piles up on you and piles up on you and piles up on you. And me personally, there actually came a day where I was like, what is all this? What am I doing suffering? What's going on here? Where'd the world come from? Is there any purpose in life? Is there any meaning to all this? On and on. Those are just normal questions that I've had enough. And by the way, don't mind me with my shirt because I have short legs and a bigger upper body, so my shirt's always pulling away from me. I'm not on crack or nothing. And first and foremost about that, I have forgiven anybody that's hurt me and accosted me and abused me or done anything to me. And I sure hope they forgive me too for anything I've done to them. So, here I am pondering the meaning and purpose of all this. And I smoked a while. Sorry, got a little bit off track. That's funny too. Oof. That's got me thinking when I lit this up for some reason. My stepmom, the one I loved, yeah, she came into the family. My dad wanted somebody younger. So So she comes into the family. He's already got 3 kids. Me, my brother, and sister. My other sister's with my mom up in Maine. And we, of course, we didn't want somebody replacing our mom and blah, blah, blah. And then she comes along with these kind of rowdy kids. So at first it was like we had to adapt to each other over time. And then eventually just loved her. So, but she always French inhaled. That's how she normally smoked. Yeah. I just thought that was weird. Oh, I forgot. I looked and looked for my tamper. Couldn't find it, so I had to improvise with a pair of fingernail clippers. Hey. So I imagine she probably has sinus problems these days if she's still alive, but that's how she smoked. Ooh, never was good at smoke rings, but I stepmom that French curled not regularly. She was really good at that. So she'd fill her mouth with smoke, touch her cheek, tap her cheek real quick, and a whole bunch of little smoke rings came out. Yeah, it was fascinating. Of course, when you're young, we're kind of fascinated by smoking, just by seeing it around us. And even though they would like sometimes have a cigarette in their mouth, we better never catch you smoking. Well, I thought, okay. But even so, we learned quite a few things growing up, and you have to unlearn some things as you go. Yep. Whew, I'll be right back. That coffee's already getting to me. So here I was, weighted down by the world and my troubles. And the depression, well, there's good times mixed in there too, but it just wears you out after a while. So I'm looking for the answers to meaning and purpose and suffering. And so, well, my dad was an atheist, George Carlin type. So couldn't find any answers in atheism because there really aren't very many, and actually it's quite destructive. So I'm like, well, I'm going to look into tons of religions and world religions. What are they offering up? What evidence do they have? Enough for me to follow one of them. So I'm looking into, I looked into a ton of them. Hinduism, Buddhism. Not that I wanted to follow them, I just wanted to see what evidence they have and if they're real. Even like witchcraft and voodoo, which I wasn't naturally didn't want to know that, but I still wanted to look. I looked and looked and looked. There's kind of a basicness to most of them. This wants answers to life, answers to the afterlife, and all this. So I looked in. There's actually evidence in the world and universe around us, in nature and everything. Science points right to it, even though I try to get around it. So I'm looking and wondering and reading, and I read some atheists, listening to some gurus and all this kind of stuff. Just kind of soak it all in, and then started doing comparisons, and I wanted some evidence. Documents, historical evidence, accuracy, and circumstantial evidence counts too, because if we didn't have that, we're no point for a majority of our court cases, for anything, and other things too. So, by the time I was done, and I'm just going to be honest with you, Christianity, hands down, had more evidence to be believed in than all the others combined. Now, don't run away, please. I'm just a person on this earth, not up and above it, just sharing my experiences. So, I was left in a predicament at this time. This stuff's actually asking me to change the way that I'm used to living, that I mostly like to live. And that's what it requires from me. And I was like, so I was stuck in a predicament for a minute, and I'm like, no, it does require from me. And so I started making some changes in my life. Quit drinking in 2000, 2001. And even after I accepted my Creator, I was still just building up and learning, and as I go, I'm listening to like John Lennox, William Lane Craig, Norman Geisler, Ravi Zacharias. I was just listening to a lot of them, and the more I listened, the more I gained. It was like kind of phenomenal to me. So I wanted to share that with you. And with this acceptance, wow, really, I was truly astonished. It isn't all just a warm feeling. It's like, well, you'll have that too, but there was some change that came upon me. So it made me see the world and see meaning and purpose and why is there suffering. My conclusion was, well, what if there wasn't? There would be no need for heaven. There would be no need to come to the conclusion that we're sinners and need to be redeemed. And it would be paradise here, and we can't have that. That means Christ was purposeless. So suffering's here for a purpose. Actually, here's another thing. I'm just observing. You've got cancer, snakes, alligators, poison. There's so many things here that no matter how hard we try, we are never making paradise here, whether we like it or not. I didn't like that very well, but now I get it. So I'm not up and above. I'm just asking you, go look at the evidence and follow where it leads. Like I said, I'm not up and above it, and I don't want to throw somebody off. That was my experience in the world. But as I said, with that came forgiveness, meaning, purpose, and a good one for me is you get to see the true value of your fellow man. And that's an important one if you look in the world. There's none of that going on. So here's my conclusion to these things. Not the conclusion because I have to explain that, but what would be the reason even to follow after anything anyway. But I look at it like this. If you look around the world, all these terrible things that's going on everywhere on the whole entire planet is simply because we have rejected our Creator and His commands. It's a great rebellion in activity. That's why there's a going on. So just ponder on this. What if the world, just by wanting to check it out, follow the first 2 commandments? What a great change would have. But it wouldn't stop us from confessing that we're sinners and we need to be redeemed in order to get to heaven. So, since I believe this, and I believe it with all my heart, and I'm through all the evidence, so I really was stuck. I was stuck at first, but I'm not now. I had to make a decision when it's true, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's an absolute. So, there's a benefit to it, and there's also a price to pay. And here's how it's going to be honest. Rejecting your Savior and His commands leads to separation from Him, outer darkness, gnashing of teeth, mourning, and the big one, unbearable heat. So the cruelest, meanest, evil person that ever lived, most proud and stubborn person that ever lived, it's going to be unbearable to them. So I don't want to go there. And what's on the other end? To be in the presence of God, there will be no tears, will be no crying, there will be peace and joy and no sin. So we have to make that choice in this life because we know we all die. And when I was observing a lot of these other things, it was kind of squeezing in trying to get an answer of those answers. What is life? Where are we going after this? And there's some humdingers out there that I'd rather believe in dust than some of these things I was reading about. It was quite phenomenal. I don't get it. Some of it's like, why would you even follow it? Because you just naturally see that it's totally absurd, but that's how we can be duped by the father of lies. I just figured I'd share that with you. And know, I'm going to share from my heart for real, because I still got my thorns I carry. So you have to endure through this world. This is a race. You got to finish it for the outcome. And it gets rough. Get caught up in things you shouldn't. Yeah, and some people might see me as a hypocrite, but really I do believe And if I go messing around doing things I shouldn't be doing, then I gotta face the consequences of them and the shame and guilt of it. Yeah, and I better not be caught sleeping when Christ returns. Ooh. Yeah, pulmonologist is like, don't smoke, don't inhale anything. But if you're gonna smoke a pipe, swish water around in your mouth and don't inhale. And I like her. She's a nice woman, and I like her to be direct and right up front. There's no sense in playing around because everybody's like tender feelings now. They might end up, you might offend them. They'll go shoot a school up or something. Yeah, it's wild out there, see? So I'm done with all that kind of stuff, and I just wanted to share it with you. Thank you for listening. All right. I am going to use the restroom again, and then I'm going to just smoke a pipe with you and try to be more mellow and you know, I was thinking back when we were kids, my grandma and grandpa lived up on top of a mountain. It was in Pennsylvania, but it was right next to West Virginia. My grandpa was a coal miner, kind of a quiet guy, always spitting tobacco in a big Maxwell House can. But he smoked a pipe, and it was like some cherry flavor. And I always remember that. Didn't really know him too well. Died when we were younger, but we'd go there, stay with them a couple of days, and like I think 30 miles away or so, we'd go to our aunt and uncle's farm and be there all summer and work, and I loved it there. My favorite place growing up. It's free of all the atmosphere around, and it's kind of peaceful and some hard work too, so you learn that. Yeah. Ain't supposed to be inhaling. You might hear the fan a little bit, and I got it clear over there, but a little bit of the sound helps me with my tinnitus. Because you know what? Yeah, when you believe, you're not free from suffering. I haven't smoked pipe in such a long time. There's the big sirens again. Goodness gracious. There is a hospital over here. So yeah, you're going to hear that, but I heard a little bit too much here the last couple of days where it just made me ponder and spurred me to make this video.